The Diary of a Certified Psychopath. 10th of October, 2021. It's me old pal Partridge. Mystic Met declared a stern but supposedly stingless north wind that in truth harboured enough chill to warrant a dual-tier concoction comprising one pure but still itchy merino wool base layer with a widening hole in its neck, topped off by a breeze-blocking gore jersey featuring removable sleeves that are attached and detached via an intricate configuration of zips, whose mechanics always take me at least a quarter of an hour to relearn whenever I rely on it during a cold snap. Within the first few miles of yesterday's litany of logjams, I was obliged to take repeated and dangerous evasive action, whilst negotiating a disjointed tailback on the main drag to Stenning, the cause of which I was unable to confirm, but almost certainly related to several large yellow signs stationed around Shoreham's western outskirts announcing major works and forecasting extensive delays. Approaching my hometown's indigenous aviation facility and wincing my way over the sequence of sleeping policemen that utterly ruined its most practical path of entry several years ago, I began to ponder whether A. the aforementioned repairs would be in progress on a Sunday, B. if not, the roads being maintained were operational, and C. even if they were, the contractors had left some convoluted triple-way traffic light-based control system active, merely to annoy every mechanically propelled traveller in the vicinity, and had probably installed a secluded webcam to garner amusement from the array of furious reactions, perhaps even live streaming it to a network of colleagues in need of similar light entertainment on their Sabbath sabbatical. I turned left at the end of Almond Avenue, the airport's innocuous easterly link to civilization, and sought shelter from Sunday's rackety roadsters up every local's favourite rural rat run, Coombs Lane. Barely moments after I'd reached the foot of its first microclimb, a disruptive dusting of drizzle on my visor nearly caused me to abandon my tentatively plotted trek to Partridge Green and hairpin back home over Stenning's barbaric Bostel, a 1.5-kilometre quadcripolar of national renown, and host to a handful of locally organised club-branded competitions, not least Brighton Mitres Double Hill Climb Time Trial, traditionally held this very month. Much to my relief, the squall proved both isolated and ephemeral, and standard stress-free spinning was resumed a short while later, allowing me to politely acknowledge 2 strolling horses and a contingent of convivial dog-walkers, pensively survey the idyllically pastoral church farm, christened after its proudly preserved and still practising neighbouring place of worship, whose origins date back to medieval England, and gaze in humble respect through a pair of robust iron gates at Annington Road's grand residential namesake, last sold in 2003, for the price of a 2021 specialised ethos. Throughout the remainder of this regular ramble around parts familiar, I observed flowers of all shapes and shades in states of partial and reposeful bloom, their gracefully wilting petals resigned to a frosty fate, yet yearning to bow out with a succession of sun-kissed curtain calls. I glimpsed grey squirrels, joyfully frolicking amidst mottled grass and blending seamlessly with its beige lowlights. As the horizon reddened, so did the snowy woolen coats of sheep contentedly grazing in the fields, while Mother Nature's invisible fingers subtly and silently remoulded, reappointed, and repainted their surrounding sanctuary, turning hedgerows, thickets, and forests from dense and thriving verdancy into desiccated golden-brown monuments, yet somehow enriching their rustle of life and affording their immortal character a fresh and evocative crackle. There were beaming smiles, reciprocal nods, and inspired waves from weekend warriors of every cyclical discipline, from trailblazers to time trialists and socialites to soloists, in hasty and fatigued summary, a fitting coda to a liberating weekend of largely screenless activity, and a copious crop of non-stationary kilometres. 13th of October, 2021. Workout on Workhorse. A self-enforced, Stairmaster-style pseudo-commute around a sizable suburban block, from the front door of my office to the back door of my home, and another effort to emulate a steady virtual social within an antisocial scenario against a factual backdrop. Felt considerably harder than it should have, due mainly to what was an austere westerly taskmaster on the way out, dwindling into a limp and practically useless southerly double-crosser during my return, and one that seemed to whisper, "Don't ever take my friend for granted again." Utilised the Cychopath all the way to West Worthing for the first time in decidedly distant memory, but avoided it heading home because, being situated so close to a busy lane of oncoming traffic, after darkness has descended, the dazzle emanating from 100,000 headlamps renders me virtually sightless, and unable to see either the solid iron posts separating pedestrians from cyclists, or indeed any cyclists travelling west with whom I might very painfully cross paths. Every member of Ada District Council should give it a try sometime. Really, it's terrific fun. 14th of October, 2021. Get up, stand up. Plain clothes, puffer jacket, heaviest bike, avoid every light and don't sit down for 90 minutes. This novel form of self-regulated resistance training is the only way I can practically, safely, and aerobically come close to mimicking a moderate to high-intensity Zwift session outdoors before 7 AM on a British autumnal dawn. Assuming, of course, that I am up and off early enough to evade the automotive chaos induced by this country's current carbon conveyancing crisis.